Coming up on the Inside Indiana Business Television podcast, a special edition of Inside Indiana Business, focusing on the transformational, high-dollar live, work, play developments going on throughout the state, aiming to attract and retain top talent. We'll spotlight projects in Indianapolis, Fort Wayne, South Bend, and more, and we'll have a special insiders panel to talk about the importance of this type of project throughout Indiana. Welcome to the Inside Indiana Business Television podcast. I'm Andy Ober. We start our look at quality of life projects throughout the state in Indianapolis, where the developer of the city's former GM stamping plant says it's excited about the $1.4 billion Waterside project. Plans include more than 1,300 housing units and over 600 hotel rooms, along with office and retail space. Andrew Greenwood and Molly Simone Jeffers with Ambrose Property Group joined Inside Indiana Business host Gary Dick on site at Ironworks Hotel Indy.
As mentioned, this is a big project, a long time coming, a lot of attention. It's called Waterside, right? You've got a brand now. But Andrew, give us an idea of ultimately what you expect Waterside to entail.
Yeah, when we're done with Waterside, we believe that it will be a massive mixed-use development, just like you talked about. We will have hotels, businesses, residential, recreational opportunities, and we're really excited about what that means and what we can attract to the site and to the redevelopment for years to come.
And one of the key, I think, unique features here in Indianapolis is you're really embracing the water, the White River. So something that's kind of, to an extent, been ignored over decades, that's going to be an important part of the development.
Yeah, historically it's been somewhat of a barrier, and we're really excited to build on the momentum that's going on with Citizens Big Dig project, the White River study, and really turn what used to be a roadway, the White River Parkway, into a recreational promenade. And that interaction with the river becoming a centerpiece not only for our site, but also for the city and beyond.
And Molly, this extends development across the river from downtown and into some neighborhoods.
Absolutely.
And I know the community engagement piece is an important part of the process.
Yes, community engagement has been huge for Ambrose since the very beginning. We have a really unique and historic and fabulous neighborhood in the Valley and consider them a part of our team, and they have been since day one. We are committed to being transparent and communicating with them throughout the duration of the project. And restoring vibrancy to their neighborhood and restoring jobs to their neighborhood, like pre-GM and during GM. In the late 70s, during GM's heyday, they employed about 6,000 people, and we plan to double that and create jobs at every level for people in the community.
So to an extent, is the community really engaged in what ultimately, and will be a part of what ultimately Waterside looks like?
Absolutely. They're excited with us. Their vision aligns with ours, and we really do believe that the Valley and surrounding communities are a part of our team and are planning with us.
Yeah. Part of the vision at Waterside, I know, is to create some innovative workspace that's going to be attractive to, in particular, young professionals.
Yeah, we're really excited about the live, work, play, and the opportunity to have those 20-minute neighborhoods, and we think that is a big part of why we will attract from Indianapolis and beyond. We've recently contracted with Jones Lang LaSalle, international renowned brokerage house, to help us market the property, work with the city and state and beyond to really get top flight talent to want to come live, work, and play at Waterside.
What's been the reaction, Molly, as you've gotten out in the community to this project? A lot of change, obviously, and sometimes change isn't necessarily well received. What's been the reaction?
Again, this neighborhood is really unique, and they cannot wait. I mean, it's really different. Their biggest question is, when are you going to start? They're very excited, and they, kind of look across the street to find us and to ask questions, and they are absolutely engaged and kind of right there with us.
Final question to you, Andrew. As you look at this project, Waterside, how does it stack up with other projects? I mean, this is big, a big dollar amount, a lot of property right in the heart of downtown or near downtown. That makes it unique too.
Yeah, 103 acres is not a small amount in an urban setting, as we talked about before, and so our ability to transform not only our site but the city and beyond is really vital.
All right, it's a major project in downtown Indianapolis, the $1.4 billion Waterside project. Andrew Greenwood and Molly Simone Jeffers, thank you both very much.
Thanks
we'll
so
talk
much.
to you soon.
Still to come, a $300 million project coming to Indy's popular Mass Ave neighborhood, and an ambitious 10-year project in South Bend. But first, Electric Works is a proposed $440 million mixed-use development at the former General Electric campus in Fort Wayne. It spans 39 acres, aiming to mix innovation, energy, and culture through a public-private partnership. Green Street managing partner Jeff Kingsbury came on site with more.
This is Electric Works, really one of those big aspirational projects that we hear so much about, and certainly beginning to take shape in Fort Wayne. Talk about the project, but first of all, the history.
Sure. 1883 was the first year that manufacturing started on that campus, and it was a presence there through 2015. So 132 years of manufacturing innovation history. And what we're trying to do is really reposition that campus as an economic engine for the region yet again.
Let's talk about that, because the size, you're talking about a lot of things: innovation, entertainment, retail, housing. Give us a kind of a thumbnail of what Electric Works will be about.
Well, it's all of those uses, and it's clustered into a dense, walkable, mixed-use campus, and that's really the characteristic that we're striving for in the creation of an innovation district, is a way to start to connect people, and with those people, we start to connect ideas and then subsequently innovation. Why,
in your view, is the timing for Electric Works right now, especially with the momentum in Fort Wayne and in the region all around getting people there?
Well, it's not just Fort Wayne. If we look at the state, if we look at Discovery Park in West Lafayette, if we look at 16 Tech in Indianapolis, this is just one of several innovation hubs that are happening around the state. So it makes sense for Northeast Indiana, Fort Wayne being the second largest city in the state, to really have a place where innovation can happen, where we start to connect businesses with education, healthcare assets in the community, and provide a new front door for business.
You mentioned education and healthcare. Those sectors very important to the future of the project.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not merely a situation where we're putting a sign in the window and saying who comes. We're very strategically focusing on the right tenant mix. And key at the beginning is really getting the right institutional partners. So institutions like Indiana Tech, for example, Parkview Health, those are critical to then helping us to attract the right kind of office tenants, and then subsequently retail, entertainment starts to fill in around there.
And you already have landed some tenants in the education space, the healthcare space as well.
Yeah, and our lead sort of office tenant is medical informatics engineering, which is a great Indiana success story around health information technology, and they've been around since 1995 in Fort Wayne, but really needed a new place and the right environment for them to be able to grow and expand their business to new markets and new horizons.
Talk about next steps. You've reached some milestones in terms of funding. Talk about next steps.
Well, we finalized the public-private partnership with the community on November 6th. We had the last vote, and that's going to bring in $65 million of local funding into the project. That's in addition to the $50 million commitment through the state tax credits that we received almost a year ago. There's some federal tax credits we're pursuing as well, and then once all those start to come together early next year, then we plan to close on the financing and start construction next summer.
All right, Jeff Kingsbury is the managing partner at Green Street Limited with the major Electric Works project in Fort Wayne. Jeff, thanks very much. We'll be following the project.
Great. Thanks.
All right.
Later in the podcast, a look at a South Bend tech-centered project and the latest on Indy's Innovation District. But now, construction is underway on the $300 million Bottleworks District on the north end of Massachusetts Avenue in Indianapolis. Plans include a boutique hotel, movie theater, and what developers call a food hall. Hendricks Commercial Properties Vice President Isaac Bamboge came on the show with an update.
This is a project with a lot of moving parts, and I know you want to create a lot of wow factor with this project and make it a destination.
Absolutely. That's why we're right now working on delivering the first phase of the project. You know, this is going to be a transformative project for not just Mass Ave, but the entire city, and so it really starts with the history and the character that this project brings with that Coca-Cola bottling plant. This was the world's largest bottling plant at one point in its heyday, and so bringing back that history in terms of a legacy and creating a legacy, and that starts with being able to attract the best talent. So there'll be a West Elm hotel, there'll be a food hall, there'll be high-tech office space. High Alpha is signed up, and so they'll be joining this project, as well as a cinema and quite a bit of retail as well.
Let's talk about some of those tenants. You mentioned the West Elm Hotel, boutique hotel. 6 hotels will be in the chain. This is the very first one, though, right?
This is going to be the first one. So summer of 2020, we'll be delivering the first West Elm hotel. So we're pretty excited.
Office space is key, and a certain type of tenant. You got to really tech-savvy company with a cool vibe right now, High Alpha, the venture studio, which is doing some great things, continuing to launch companies. They're going to have their corporate offices there.
That's correct. So High Alpha will be our first office tenant, which is huge. Those guys are going to be bringing in just great talent, and with everything that's happening on Mass Ave, we think it's going to be a great space for them in terms of being able to not just attract talent and help further build the ecosystem, the tech ecosystem in Indianapolis and Indiana, but also help retain because having those options are key, and so we're going to have lots of those. Your
company, Hendricks Commercial Properties, based in Wisconsin, you obviously think a lot about Indianapolis. We're in the Ironworks Indy Hotel and the larger Ironworks project here on the north side, in addition to the Coca-Cola investment downside, so you're pretty bullish on Indianapolis.
Absolutely. We feel in Indianapolis and Indiana as a whole has great market fundamentals, great higher education institutions, and just there's an energy, and so we want to be a part of that energy, and we want to be catalytic to that energy as well. So we're happy to be here and look forward to being here for a while.
What are going to be keys to this project reaching its, in your view, its potential?
Talent on various levels, right? Talent to fill the jobs that are going to be the companies that are operating out of here, whether it's on the hospitality side all the way to the high-tech side, but at the same time, the talent from an entertainment standpoint and a food and beverage standpoint. And so we're being very selective and patient in who we bring to this project, and so far so good, and we look forward to announcing some pretty exciting partners as part of this project.
I want to quickly ask you, you mentioned the hospitality. As I understand, you're going to create an institute, a training facility, right, for folks who want to engage and get into that sector.
Absolutely. It's a key part of what West Elm sold us, and why we were so excited to partner with them, because they really become a part of the fabric of the community in that way, and really showing that there is opportunity in these different industries. It's not just one segment, but you have opportunities in numerous segments in different industries.
Isaac Bambouche, Hendricks Commercial Properties, thanks very much. Major talent attraction project in downtown Indianapolis with the Bottle Works project, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
Remember, you can catch Inside Indiana Business Television on stations throughout the state every weekend. Head to InsideIndianaBusiness.com to check listings. Still to come, a big hurdle cleared in Indy's 16 Tech District, and the Yard moves forward in Fishers. But first, the Renaissance District is the 80-block area just south of downtown South Bend. The Studebaker campus at the heart of the district is being turned into what developers are calling the largest mixed-use technology campus in the Midwest. Global Access Point CEO Kevin Smith gives us an update.
This project, it's a Regional Cities Initiative project, but the Studebaker name in South Bend at one time was truly iconic, employing 20,000 plus people at these old campuses.
30,000 at its heyday. So it really helped establish South Bend as an international leader. Global Access Point is building on the shoulders of those that came before, because Studebaker was very inventive, and now we're just taking that iconic element and translating it into the future.
Well, let's talk about this project. It is a massive project.
Yes.
Talk about all of the elements, and some have already happened. You've got tenants in the old Studebaker complex now, but talk about what ultimately is the vision for this complex.
Sure. What we're doing is we've looked at what we needed to translate South Bend from an industrial age to a digital age. And so we are one of two carrier hotels in the state. We have dark fiber to Cermak, which is another major carrier hotel in the world in Chicago. So we built it on those core elements. And then we've gotten very good at the power portion, so we can produce Bitcoin and blockchain, high-density power, supercomputers, cloud computing, international compute. So we've been doing that for about 25 years now. And so on top of it, what we've discovered is technologists want to be by the technology. So we've figured out how to blend that technological space next to the technology. And that's what drove me to expand from the Union Station to the Studebaker building.
You talk about the technology and connecting South Bend to the world, really, that this area is home to some of the densest fiber concentration in the nation.
Absolutely, because the Union Station converged 3 railroads. That means you had 3 easements for the fiber optics to go down. And so if you're heading out of Chicago, you pass by me. And then sometimes you go down, I have fiber that connects South Bend to Indianapolis, or you continue to New York. So we leveraged that kind of power or fiber density connectivity and made it accessible to the community.
Yeah, as you look at the regional nature and the cooperation needed for this project, how important is that piece?
Oh, it's essential, because I'm so pleased that our state is becoming a regionalist. One of the goals would be to find the virtualization of all those regional centers and integrate them together. Because once you can play as a regional asset, you can play internationally. And that's my goal. My hope is that Indiana should get back on the stage.
As you look at what this can become, this Studebaker complex, close to Four Winds Field, the baseball park there, you've got a world-class university, obviously, and Notre Dame right in the backyard there. What's the potential? What could you envision this area as looking like, feeling like in say, 10 to 15 years?
So when you look at it contextually, we now have the connectivity. I'm virtually at Chicago, but we have all the technologists being mentored, if you choose, at Notre Dame and Purdue and throughout the state. So we're rich in talent. So what we need to do is to have a platform where that talent can meet the technology and meet the needs of the world, frankly.
Very good. Kevin Smith is the CEO of Global Access Point. The Studebaker complex and that development is a major development. Thanks for joining us. We'll be following the story.
Thank you very much.
Later in the podcast, a look at a Fisher's food-focused development and a special insiders panel focusing on quality of life. But now, the first new building in Indianapolis's Innovation District is fully leased. The $30 million research and office center will house the Indiana Biosciences Research Institute, Central Indiana Corporate Partnership, and IU School of Medicine researchers. Crews have broken ground, and 16 Tech CEO Bob Coy joined us with the latest.
You've actually just broken ground on that first major building. Talk about what's going to be in that building, because I know a lot of high-profile stuff.
Yes, certainly. Pleasure to do so. First, on the first 3 floors, the Indiana Bioscience Research Institute will be located. And it's an interesting collaboration between Eli Lilly Company, Cook Regentech, Roche Diagnostics, and Corteva, as well as IU and Notre Dame. It itself represents the kind of collaboration that will be occurring at 16 Tech. The 3rd floor will house the Indiana School of Medicine's team of researchers focused on regenerative medicine, and then the 4th floor will house the Central Indiana Corporate Partnership and all of its related entities.
Talk about the larger 16 Tech project. First of all, we'll get into that, but really this project is about advanced industries but really bottom line is about talent, about attracting talent and keeping talent in Indiana.
That's exactly right. If you look around the country and the world today, talent, especially in industries like the biosciences and technology sectors, 2 sectors that we're focused on at 16 Tech, it tends to concentrate in urban areas for a variety of reasons. And we are building on the rebirth of Indianapolis as an exciting place to live and work as we develop 16 Tech. So 16 Tech is, as you mentioned, located on 60 acres. It's adjacent to the IUPUI campus, the IU School of Medicine. It's surrounded on 3 sides by water. The White River Trail goes through it with its connections to the Monon Trail and the towpath, so it's great for biking and walking. It's less than 2 miles from the downtown urban core and a lot of the exciting neighborhoods that are there. And it will become a magnet for talent in the life sciences, tech, and advanced engineering sectors.
Well, and you talk about being a magnet, you talk about those quality of life assets that are there. How important are those? Because when you want to get talent here, you got to be literally selling them on coming to Indianapolis.
Well, it's absolutely essential. It's very difficult to do a project like this if you're not in a city that is exciting and vibrant and dynamic as a place to live. And certainly Indianapolis over the last decade or 2 has experienced a rebirth, which is attracting people to exciting neighborhoods downtown.
A great example, I think, at 16 Tech is Cook Regentech. When you talk about companies that are examples of what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, no, that's a great example. So Cook Regentech is the first company to actually locate in the 16 Tech Innovation District. It is the startup accelerator of Cook Medical, and it employs today 60 people. They're developing medical devices and delivery systems for regenerative medicine therapies. They have already established a partnership with the IU School of Medicine, which again emphasizes this partnership aspect of the district. And they have included within Cook Regentech something called the Collaboratory, where they will collaborate with IU and other tenants within the 16 Tech district on new innovation products.
Okay, you've just broken ground on that first major building. As we wrap up here, give us your vision as you look out 5, 10, 15 years on what this area, this 60-acre complex and beyond will look like.
Well, over the next 10 years, we project that close to 3,000 people will be working at 16 Tech. We expect to have about 2 million square feet of labs and office buildings, about 750 apartment units. We'll have public parks, public art, and we'll have retail as well as cafes and restaurants.
Well, it's been a long time coming through multiple city administrations. It is becoming a reality now. 16 Tech, the Innovation District. Bob Corey, the president and CEO. Thanks for joining us. As always, we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Still to come, our special panel of insiders talks about why these projects are so important to Indiana. But first, 2 years ago, the city of Fishers announced The Yard at Fishers District, a 17-acre culinary district with restaurant, hotel, residential, and retail space, along with a food incubator. Fishers Mayor Scott Fadness joined us with an update on the ambitious project.
A lot continues to go on in your community, and so many of these projects have been done with talent in mind and attracting and retaining talent. That's been an important part of the equation.
Yeah, well, when we're trying to recruit companies, what we always see when you're in that interaction with the CEO, they're thinking to themselves, can I convince my employees that I have currently that they want to be a part of this place? Or can I convince people that will soon be part of our employment to be a part of this place? And so we've got to create that product, that compelling story for them to want to be a part of it.
Part of that story will be this just recently announced development in downtown Fishers, a $153 million development. A main anchor of that project will be First Internet Bank, a company that continues to kill it, really, and do some great things with David Becker. They're going to have their corporate headquarters right in the heart of Fishers.
Yeah, this is a really exciting. This is a culmination of our downtown development. Actually, I think it's the largest project we've ever done. And with First Internet Bank, serial entrepreneur like David Becker, building their corporate headquarters, which is going to be a significant anchor to this master concept or master plan. But then we're also going to have this high-end boutique hotel in downtown, and then on the other side, more apartment living, more townhomes, more office, and even some retail. So that mix of people living and working in close proximity attracts, what's interesting, it doesn't just attract the young generation, but it also attracts the 55 and older generation. I think that's critical for the long-term sustainability of our city.
Also mentioned The Yard, which is a unique development, a lot of restaurants and retail activity, and culinary accelerators part of that. Talk about The Yard and what how that idea really came about.
Yeah, it's a spin on the next generation of retail, so we can't keep building big boxes. That market's been disrupted. But what we do know is people want experiences. So experiential retail still has a really strong market. That's why when we looked at doing a development here, we decided that we didn't want to go with the traditional model. We really focused on the culinary side. So there's nearly 10 or 12 restaurants in this little focused area. And then again, to pursue kind of this entrepreneurial vision of our city, we wanted to create a space where people who have a culinary passion can pursue that right there at the Culinary Accelerator. And so we'll have a lot more information on that first quarter of next year, but they're just about all leased up at the Yard already, and it's gone from a $40 million project to a $140 million project. So the market has responded to this type of concept, and we're really excited to kind of open this up and really see how residents react to it.
How do you balance as you look at these exciting projects, and the Topgolf and IKEA and all those?
Well, this is the age-old discussion you have in a city. Most people want to close the door behind them. And that's just not a practical reality in the world that we live in today. So I have to convince our residents that by taking the actions that we are, although that it's changed and that can be difficult, absent of change, the world's going to change around us and we're going to be left behind. So we have to have a bold vision. We have to aspire to that. We have to execute. So smart planning, smart infrastructure growth, which I think we've made good strides in. But at the end of the day, I'm going to live in a community, and I'm going to lead a community that's growing, adapting, and evolving to the world around it, and not sitting by and watching it go by them.
As we wrap up, your take on talent and in Indiana as a state, but central Indiana, such a critical issue. How do you view where things are now with respect to the ability to keep talent, but also get the talent here that's needed?
A lot of talk about this, a lot of conversations, a lot of folks smarter than I am that have been on this show talking about this issue. I think it's a population issue. I think it's about getting more people living in Indiana. I think when we talk about talent, we talk about repurposing the people we have. I think that's an important element. We have got to make Indiana a desirable place for people to move here, and move here in significant numbers. We've depleted rural Indiana into our urban areas. There's nobody left in those areas for the most part to take from. We've got to start bringing people in from all around the country. And that, I think the ground game of that is building better cities, better senses of places all around our state and in all different regions of our state. And to me, that is a key component of the talent conversation that doesn't always get talked about. Instead, we talk about, well, we've got to change the pipeline around workforce education and things of that nature. Absolutely true. But if you go into rural Indiana and they ask you, I just can't find anybody. Well, reality is the population's been declining there for over a decade.
All right, Fisher's Mayor Scott Fadness, a lot going on in your community, Mayor. Thanks for joining us.
Good to see you.
All right.
And finally, as we wrap up our look at quality of life projects throughout the state, our insiders talk about why they're crucial in the battle for talent and more. The special panel includes Genova's Executive Managing Director Larry Gigrich, Cheetah Digital Senior Vice President M.T. Ray, and TMAP CEO Bill Osterly.
I'll start off by kind of teeing it up to ask each of you. Bill, I'll start with you, but just your assessment. We've talked a lot, and a lot is said about talent and how important it is, how critical it is, and Indiana needs to embrace initiatives to do more to get. What's your take on where things are from a talent perspective in Indiana right now?
Yeah, I think we're about to enter a period that's going to take a while where we are just going to be under tremendous pressure to bring talent in. The demographics tell us we're going to be short, and that's the first time we've had to deal with that in maybe 100 years. So these projects are going to be just critical in us attracting outside talent to the state.
Brings up a good point. MT, your take on that. You look at the numbers, you look at the demographics, and they don't necessarily paint a rosy picture.
No, I think we have to get creative on how we attract talent to Indiana. And I think these projects, like Bill mentioned, are going to do that. I mean, we need to show that this is a place you can live and work and play and have opportunities for a career. And I think that will help bring people here when they see what a great place it is to live.
Yeah, Larry, your take, you're dealing with this not only in Indiana, but in areas around the country where you work on projects. Your take on the talent.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got to grow faster than we have been over time. And I think part of that is growing faster and growing smarter. I mean, Bill's company is doing some great work right now looking at those people that are persuadable who would be targets to come back to Indiana. That's very important, but we also need to attract that talent that's at a well-educated level, and that's why those quality of place investments are so important, because they pick where they want to live first and figure out the job second in many cases.
And Larry mentioned your efforts, Bill, and how important in your view is it to be, everybody wants to go after talent, but to be strategic?
This is a targeted marketing exercise, not a mass marketing exercise. We're at the point where we can identify the people that we want to get and deliver specific messaging to them, tailored to them. And if we do that, we'll be the only state in the country that is actually out executing that kind of plan.
So be very strategic. MT, your company, Cheetah Digital, is in growth mode. We had you on the show a few weeks ago, tripling your head count. So you're in the midst of this. How are you finding the market out there?
Every day. It's hard. I mean, we are competing for talent every day. So you have to be creative, as I said. You have to differentiate yourselves. You have to come up with your employment brand and what makes someone want to join you. Because they have multiple offers from different companies, small and big.
Is there anything you'd like to see, the the state, local municipalities do in terms of initiatives or things to help the situation?
Yeah, I mean, I think we do a great job with our entry-level talent, with the different programs we have in place at the universities. But I think there's a lot of transitioning workers out there that we could retrain and offer programs to help them, be trained up to take some of these open positions. And I think we have to do a better job branding ourselves as a state to attract talent. Those boomerangs, those ones that Larry was talking about, those that leave, how do you get them back? And what a great place to live. It's affordable. We have all these great programs happening. How do we target them and go after them?
Yeah. Larry, was in some respects, the Amazon decision to put a logistics center in Nashville, 5,000 jobs, big investment, $200+ million. Was that kind of a wake-up call maybe for Indianapolis?
I think clearly it was the one that hit home the closest. As a lot of people said, if you pick Washington, New York, no one's going to get fired over that decision, right? Because of the size of those markets. Yeah. But Nashville's one where compares to us in many, many ways. Big difference is they are growing their population faster, about double what we are here, and it's at a much, much higher level from a quality standpoint. And finally, it's a broader area too. It's not just people from Tennessee or contiguous states, it's across the country. And that was one of the things that Amazon recognized.
What does Indiana need to do to kind of get to that whole issue?
Well, I think part of it is doing big, bold things. As MT alluded to earlier, it's important that we have bold talent initiatives. And again, not just to point to Tennessee, but one of the things Governor Haslam did there a few years ago, about 5 years ago, was create the Tennessee Promise Program. Big, bold program around talent development at all levels. And I think looking at those types of opportunities, the Next Level Jobs program that Governor Holcomb has started is a start, but we've got a lot more to do to build on that.
Bill, your take on these big, I've heard others besides Larry talk about that, big aspirational projects that Indianapolis and the state more broadly should maybe pursue to get at this issue.
Yeah, I think obviously big projects carry risks. So, we have to be prudent about this. But it's going to be required. Again, the demographics here are just very frightening. The state's population is stagnating, and we have to address that head on. We're going to have to go out and recruit, and we're going to have to do that collectively and collaboratively. That's a big project. And I think it's one that is absolutely required.
Mitch Daniels at Purdue recently announced I can't remember the name of it now, but a Brain Gain initiative, basically to go out after those Purdue grads who are out around the country and bring them back home.
Indiana's 18th in the country in the production of college degrees. That is a huge asset to us. That's better than Tennessee, better than that. What we have to do is harvest that, though. We're 42nd in the country in degrees held. So that's a pool that's out there across not just the country, but the world. And we can go find them, and we can attempt to bring them back. And furthermore, we can message to them while they're in school, which we haven't done very well historically. So I think we can change it.
We do have a question from the studio audience.
Please give us an example, each of you, of something that you're doing in your companies right now to attract the talent, and then once it's attracted, what are you doing to retain those people?
We host events at our office at Cheetah here downtown where we invite people in, we talk about the company, host them, have them understand our job openings, see our space. So that's one thing, just to stay connected in the local downtown Indy market. From a retention standpoint, it's the culture you build and how you engage your people. So we're always very aware of making sure we're treating them well and they have opportunities for development.
Yeah, we try to take a community-based approach to our employees. We expose them to other companies. We participate in programs where they have peers that are at their point in their professional development. We want them to develop deep roots in the place, not just our company. Inevitably, we find that causes them to have deeper roots with us too, because we provide those opportunities.
anything to be said about smaller rural communities that are certainly losing population, losing companies and jobs that as they look at this whole daunting equation?
There's some interesting stories around the state. Vincennes, some things that have happened in Vincennes and downtown and reinvestment. Wabash has an incredible downtown and entrepreneurial environment. And there's some things going on now through the Stellar Communities program that the state of Indiana and the Office of Community and Rural Affairs runs in Rushville. Some really neat things that are being looked at in downtown there. It's more challenging, but I think the bottom line is whether you're a small area or a big area, you have to invest in yourself. And quality of place investments are a big part of that.
Yep. Well, it's a big issue for Indiana and many other states around the country. Thanks for some great perspective, Larry Gigerich, M.T. Ray, Bill Osterly. Thanks for joining us.
That wraps up this week's Inside Indiana Business Television podcast. Remember, you can find all of this week's TV segments, as well as the top business news from throughout the state, at InsideIndianaBusiness.com. While you're there, you can also subscribe to our platform of free e-newsletters. This is Andy Ober for Inside Indiana Business.